I just want to let you know that all of that money is going to belong to me in the end. So all of you and your family, don't get your hopes up, okay? I promise to at least give him a good funeral to make up for taking it all from myself. What? Miley, what is all of this about? And what did you just mean by all of that? I just meant what I said is all. Have you started to forget how to read and understand English or something? I have no plans of giving you guys any of the money your brother has left behind. Your brother is no longer of this world, and that means you all have nothing to do with me anymore. Since you're all complete strangers, I'm not going to hand anything over. In other words, what you're saying is, a lot of money was left over by my brother, and you're wanting access to it all? That's what you're going on about? You don't want to share it, is that what you're saying? That's what I'm saying, yes. I heard that you aren't that smart at all, even though your brother happened to become a doctor of all people. And I can see right now you are just as stupid as he mentioned. Are you sure you're not mentally challenged in some way? Don't start making me repeat everything I say to you over and over again. Wait, hold on a second. Is this really you, Miley? For some reason, this Miley who I'm talking with now is completely different from the person I'd known before. I never expected her to be someone who could say such awful things to other people about themselves. I'm a bit shocked by all of this, and that's why it's hard for me to say anything at the moment. And that's why I was saying what I said. I had married into my husband's family, and he wanted me to play nice with everyone in it. And so I went ahead and got along with all of you, making myself look all kind and whatnot. But now that he's no longer around, I'm going to cut ties to every single one of you. And I'll be doing so with no restraint at all. Huh? Now I see. So this whole time you just had a mask on is all, right? That's exactly right. So from now on, would you please stop thinking about me as your family? Understood. What is this about there being an entrance fee now? We still happen to be my brother's family, you know. I understand that, but I am his wife still. I'm the one in charge of who can come into this funeral and who can't, meaning there is no say in it for you. So if you'd all like to be a part of this funeral today, you all have to pay me a lump fee of $50,000. If you're not able to pay me that much, then you guys will not be able to take part in this funeral today. Are you really asking that from us right now? This is everyone's very last chance to see my brother's face before he's buried. I have been with my brother ever since I was born. I would really like to take one last look at his face before having to say goodbye to him forever. What? So now you're going to beg with tears now, huh? Well, that sort of thing doesn't work on me, so, So, I was the one your brother chose to marry, okay? And that means whatever I say goes. You are so mean, Miley. I seriously never thought that someone like you could be that rotten deep down. Shut up and bring me that money now. There's no way we'd do that for you. Are you sure you even understand what you're even doing here? Because you're about to become a complete stranger to this whole entire family of his. Is that really something you want right now? I've been telling you that's what I want this whole time. How much longer are you going to try forcing me to be a part of your family? All right, then. I understand. Well, if you do, get the hell out of here. And don't you guys ever come around me again. Sure, that's the plan from now on. Now, we're all going to head home. Goodbye forever, Miley.
Cam, it's been a long time since we'd last talked. I'm your older brother's good friend Jay, in case you didn't already know that. There's a few things that I'd like to chat with you about, so when you have the time, please get back to me.
Jay! Oh, long time no see. Of course I knew it was you since I still have your number in my phone. Although the last time I ever saw and spoke to you was when we had lunch together a year or two ago, right?
Yeah, I think that was the last time. I've had a lot more work lately, and I've been so busy with that, which left me no time to come and see all of you guys, so I'm sorry about that.
Is that why you haven't been around much? That really sucks. So then, does you messaging me again like this after so long mean that you know?
I've heard. It's something I feel so terrible for and wanted to express my sincerest sympathies to all of you about. I had actually thought I'd be seeing you all yesterday, but it sounded like you and your family were all missing from the funeral, right?
Ah, so you actually went to the funeral, did you? Actually, all of my family showed up to be there, but, well, my brother's wife was there. I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with that woman, but she told all of us that we had to pay an entrance fee to get into the funeral.
What? Wait, what the hell do you mean? When it comes to the funeral, isn't it the whole family who's holding it for the deceased? Would there ever be a family who doesn't show up to say goodbye to one of their own?
You'd think there couldn't be, which is why this was so unbelievable for us as well. But she told us that we wouldn't be allowed in unless we paid. And, well, we didn't just pay. We told her that if that's really how she wanted to behave at her husband's funeral, then that was fine and we wouldn't have any part of it.
What kind of money was she asking for, though? Is that even something someone like her should be doing?
She told us that if we wanted to go in and say goodbye to my brother, we had to pay her $50,000. And that we'd have to pay it all together on that day.
$50,000? Is she messed up in the head or something?
It really seems that she is. And that's why my parents and I gave up on it right then and there. So we left and went back home and mourned my brother without being able to see his face one last time. Seems that his wife really wants all of his money all to herself. We had no plans of talking about that while we were there anyway, but she did say to us all that she would be cutting ties right then and there. If that's what she really wants to do, then we decided to let her be.
I see. I always thought there was something up with that woman from the very start. But now I know there are a ton of things wrong with her. Well, if that's the case, then this conversation is going to be a whole lot quicker for me. I've made up my mind now. I'm going to make sure to give you all everything you wanted on her, okay?
What are you talking about, Jay?
There was another reason for me getting in touch with you today, Cam. It has to do with that wife of your brother's. And something that goes along with what you and your parents asked me to do a long time ago.
What? I'm not sure what you mean. Does this all have to do with what you found?
Well, in some parts, yes, but thankfully she was never able to find out about me and never noticed me at the funeral. Luckily, your brother helped too by going to work a lot before he passed, so I got a lot of details now. But man, was I worried yesterday that she'd notice me from somewhere and confront me on it. But of course she never did, because it's not like she'd care about someone of my likes anyway, right?
Is that right? Then what's this all about? I'm still confused as to what these details are, Jay.
You just told me how she was trying to get all of that money out of you and your family, right? Well, there was a reason behind why she asked for $50,000.
Wait, what do you mean?
And also, the one who should really be paying up right now is her of all people.
Jake, can you please elaborate a bit more for me about all of this? Excuse me? What is going on here? All my brother left behind for me was $400,000 worth of debt that I now have to pay off. Oh. Is that right? Well then, good luck with paying all that off. Remember, you didn't want to share any of that inheritance with the rest of us. So make sure to pay it all off by yourself. I knew there was something up with you not crying about getting nothing from him. In other words, you knew this would happen and forced me to take it all for myself, right? Hey, what kind of bullcrap is that? I never said anything at all about that sort of thing and was just going along with everything you were saying, right? You were the one that told me you wanted all of his money, right? My family and I thought that if you wanted it so much that you could have it, and never said anything about how you had to take it all for yourself. So if anything, you were the one forcing us not to take it, right? Forcing you all not to? What the hell does that mean? We all never wanted for you to take on all $400,000 of that debt because we all felt bad for you. And the plan was for all of us to take on that debt in order to help you out the best we could. But you came out of nowhere being all greedy about how it was all going to be yours, all of that debt, and so... What? You guys were going to help me pay off all this debt? Well, we were, but then you started acting like you already knew about it since you were acting so tough, wanting all of the inheritance, and all my brother was leaving. And then at the funeral, you made it even more clear to us that you didn't want for our help when asking for $50,000 in order to let us in to see my brother one last time. Originally, we had all thought about talking to you about the debt at the funeral in case there was a chance you didn't know about it. But, you know, you kind of stopped that from happening. What? You guys plan to talk to me during the funeral? That's right. Yet with all of that in mind, you went and blocked all of us from coming inside. You made it very clear to us that we were like your enemy in some ways and that you would do anything you could to make sure we couldn't touch what my brother had left behind. And in the end, we decided to let you be since you seemed to have everything under control. Are you being serious right now about that? In other words, what you're saying is that I never noticed your guys' intentions when coming, and I chose a path that would lead to my own destruction? Yep, that's what it looks like to us. We were all there to lend you one last hand paying off all that debt, but instead you chose to do something completely different from what we expected. All because of some crazy fantasy you were having. No way. I never meant for this to happen. As for us, we were never given one last chance to say goodbye to my brother and didn't get to say any last words to him. All because of your greed and pride. Even though the time that we had spent with my brother was way longer than the time you went and spent with him. Instead of thinking about the feelings of his whole entire family and what they wanted, you chose to think only about what you wanted, and that was what you thought to be my brother's money. You really are the worst, Miley. And now all of us will not be forgiving you ever again for that. I'm really sorry. I didn't think things would turn out like this after doing all of that. I mean, my husband was a doctor of all people. I assumed that he'd have so much money left over in his bank accounts for me to have. To see he was in this much debt now? How could this have happened to him? In order to become a doctor, one must spend a whole ton of money for the education and all. And yet my brother, being as ignorant as ever, assumed that he'd be able to pay off all of that debt the moment he became a doctor, and spent most of his time during school playing around and spending tons of money. He also chose to start his own clinic after he had graduated, which alone cost him millions, having to buy his own place and all of the machinery and furnishings for the place. And in the end, he was left in a lot of debt, which he was able to pay most of off, but not all of it. He was always the kind of person to think about things in a short-term manner and never thought about the outcomes in the long term. I'm sure now you're wishing he had been the other way around and focused more on what would come in the future ahead, instead of just how things have been right now. No way, I never knew he was like that. I mean, he was always working, right? He should have been making so much that he could have kept in his savings or something. He would always buy me these really expensive and high-end brands for my birthday, too. There was never a moment where I doubted him and his finances. And like I'd said, he only ever cared about the moment. To him, that meant he just assumed he'd pay off all the debt he was getting into one day. Sure, he was making a lot of money as a doctor for a little while there, but even with all that money, it wasn't enough for the tremendous amount of debt he'd gotten himself into. No way. I'll apologize, so will you guys please come back here and help me? There's no way for someone like myself to be able to pay all of this debt off. I've always been a housewife for your brother, and even if I were able to get a part-time job, I'd never be able to make enough. Currently, the house I'm in is being paid for with a loan as well, and we're just about to pay it all off. Which means the only money we do have is meant for me to do that with. There's no way for me to pay off that debt he's left me with, so please, as family, you all please do something about this. Do you really think that we'd still be interested in helping you just because you're the one asking now? Weren't you the one who also told me that we have nothing to do with you anymore and that you'd be cutting ties to us? And I said that I'd apologize for saying that. Let's just forget about that all ever even happening. I mean, you're all the ones related to one another by blood, right? I shouldn't have to be the one paying off all this debt he left behind. And it's not like I knew he was in so much debt anyway. I just wanted the money to help me out with my new life as a widow now. Right now, there's nothing that I can do to avoid being ruined. And I'm saying that has nothing to do with us now. Not only are we all not related to you by blood in any way, but you said it yourself that you didn't want us around anymore as your in-laws. So no matter how hopeless things are for you or how sad you are, we don't care. Everything that's happened to you now was done by you alone, so you figure out how to manage all of that by yourself now. And I'm saying that that's impossible for me right now. This is all the debt that your brother got into, right? Well, I'm telling you to do something about all of it right now. Really? Getting all upset at me now over something you did to yourself? What a baby. So let me get this straight. If he had left behind loads of money, that would all become yours, but when it's all a bunch of debt he's left behind, it should somehow become my problem? Doesn't make any more sense when I say it to myself, even. Wow. Nice try there, but everything you just said to me there only proves you're a greedy jerk. But Kim, if all of this was going to happen to me, then I would have been better off never marrying him. Saying things like that to us now is only making yourself look worse. Your marriage was something that you chose to let happen and something you chose to show off to the world. Which means you now have to take responsibility for all of it. Trying to make others take responsibility for that all isn't something someone your age should be doing, Miley. Why not, Kim? If I can't get any help, then what the hell am I supposed to do here? By the way, I'm cutting ties to you all, and never show your face around me again came out of you, right? Yet now you're the one coming to me for help and asking me what you should be doing. Honestly, it's a mystery how someone like you even made it as far as marrying a doctor or anything like that. If you've cut ties to us, then you leave me out of this and figure it out yourself. Well, I can't figure it all out myself, and that's why I'm asking for your help. Please. You all have money, don't you? And this whole time you've been all on your own making things happen, right? That means you of all people have to have a lot of money on you right now. Well, even if I did have a lot of money right now, none of it would be going to a pile of crap like you, Miley. I don't want to have someone of your pathetic likeness to have my money in your hands. Especially when you went and stabbed my own brother in the back, you asshole. What? Stabbed him in the back? What are you talking about? Let me just say that we already know about everything that's happened there. About how you always went to that male strip club and went back there recently to start giving more and more money to one of the men you liked. You've had relations with that man even still while married to my brother for so long. What? Wait. What are you going on about? I never did anything like that while your brother had been around. Now, would you stop saying such nonsense at a time like this about me? That's what I'd like to be asking you. How could you marry someone like my brother and take all of his money from him like that to use on another man at a strip club you used to always go to, even going and sleeping with him from time to time while my brother was working the night shift? That right there makes you the worst woman ever, and you are so bad now that I have nothing else to say to you. I just told you to stop saying things like that about me. What the hell makes you even think I ever went and did all of that? Especially when your brother isn't even around anymore. Do you really think saying things like that about me, making me look bad, is going to be left unchecked by me? Sure, all right then. My brother's dead now, which means that he'll never know about what had happened to him. But that's even more reason as to why my family and I are working so hard to make sure you pay for what you'd done to my brother while he was alive. We knew some of this was going on while he was still around, but we didn't want him to die knowing that his wife was unfaithful to him, and wanted him to be happy instead as he left this world. Huh? What is even going on here? Why are you even bothering with me then? How come you all knew, but not him? He told us one time that he felt something off about you, but really didn't know what it was. And my family, wanting what was best for him, hired someone to take a further look into you while he'd be working and such. What? You hired someone to follow me? What are you going on about now? My family happened to know someone close to my brother who also happens to work for the police. And, well, we asked him to take a look at what was going on with you when he was out working, and so he did just that for his friend's sake. He gathered a lot of evidence that would help us help my brother get a divorce from you. But before any of that could happen, that terrible accident happened to my brother, and he was left with only weeks to live. You're lying, right? You guys were gathering evidence of all of it? Are you really telling me something like that right now? You really think I'd be lying to you about all of these things right now? Anyway, we have all the evidence that we can show to you now. And what we plan to do next is sue both of you for what you'd done to my brother. One other thing. We looked at my brother's phone after the crash and found that he'd received a couple of messages from the man you'd been with from the strip club. And it seems he was telling my brother to divorce you and let him have you. And he said that if he didn't do that the day before the accident, he'd kill my brother. Well, what do you know? That following day, my brother was hit in a hit-and-run case where we still weren't able to find the driver after. So there's a very high chance it was your man who did this to my brother and ended up killing him not too long after. That frickin' idiot! Why the hell would he say things like that before doing it? We were never told about it by my brother, but he did say to his friend, the detective, that he was being targeted and wanted to know what to do. Maybe your man assumed that my brother being a doctor meant he had too much money to want to sue him for taking you away. Well, your man just so happened to be more mentally challenged than you thought, huh? I mean, he is working as a stripper after all. What an absolute dumbass. You have to be lying right now. So that was the reason for everything? There's no way something like that could have actually happened between those two. Well, in terms of the timing, it all makes too much sense. And even if he wasn't the one who murdered my brother, you both are still in trouble. From now on, my family will be making sure you both pay for all of that with the help of the law, so be ready for that. You wanted us to help you pay off all that debt? Shut the hell up and focus on paying us the settlements we ask for first. You're going to pay everything off all by yourself and then apologize to all of us on your hands and knees. I get it. All right, I get it. I am really, and I mean really sorry for everything that I did. I've learned my lesson now after being shown everything I'd done wrong, all right? So would you please just overlook everything that's happened between that man and I? I bet you guys thought you were so lucky that you'd be able to get whatever my brother might have left behind after he died, right? You probably were thinking that you could use all that money you thought he would have left to continue having fun with it for the rest of your lives, while living in the house that he planned to pay off, right? That was never something we thought about. Stop that, please. Don't make us look like complete animals or anything. Your brother is dead now, and so there's no reason to be talking about his money or his debt anymore. All you're going to do is make everything worse for all of us, and that's no good, right? Okay, I'm not going to ask for you guys to help me out with the debt anymore. So can you all just leave me alone now? For someone who was all up and at it, looking to pick a fight with my family, you've really gone and tucked that tail in deep between your legs trying to scurry away, right? You've really done a great job not only ruining our lives with your greedy and toxic behavior, but you cost my brother his life with it too. You were right that my family has a lot of money right now, and we plan to use it on a lot of lawyers that can help us with you. We are going to make sure you take full responsibility for what you've done. And then both you and that man of yours from the strip club can go rot in hell once we're all done with you. I hope you're ready for that. After that, both Miley and her male stripper friend, who she cheated on my brother with the whole time they were married, would both face the wrath of my extremely angry family and I, and would have to wait for things to be taken into the hands of the law. When the time did come and 2 officers showed up to take her man away for questioning, Miley freaked out and tried to make a run for it so that we wouldn't be able to find her. But it wouldn't be long before that man was questioned and then released for a bit, and she went back to him to find out if he was going to be okay. And when that happened, my family's group of lawyers was with him and handed her all the paperwork on how much she'd be owing my family for what she'd done to my brother. I believe that when all the cases had finished up, she would have to owe us somewhere close to $60,000 and would be forced to pay it all in one lump payment. And when it came to my brother's debt, we made sure to tell his lawyer, who was handling everything he'd left behind, that we could not take it as his wife, Miley, said she'd be the one paying all his debt off. As for the house that my brother and Miley had been in, we made sure to have it sold off in order to help Miley pay us, and told her parents about the whole mess so that they could watch her while we weren't looking. Both her parents relayed to us later on that she had nobody left in her life to rely on for help, and would have to face all of that debt alone, especially after they too kicked her out of their house and onto the street so that she could really learn her lesson. Miley's man soon ran away from her after he was told that he'd have to go to court to face a judge for having been the one who must have hit and killed my brother, and that put Miley in a place where she only had one option, and that was borrowing money from a loan shark. I later heard on the news that her man was found by the police a few hundred miles away from the town, and had to be tackled to the ground before being taken to jail and then court, and then charged with murdering my brother. At this point in time, nobody really knows how things have been going for Miley out there all alone, but I like to think that she's working for some company underground, trying to make every cent she can to keep those loan sharks off her back. As for myself and the family, we never did end up having our chance to say goodbye to my brother one last time. But after things had really settled down and we were awarded a lot of money, we made sure to get him a really nice headstone for his grave and have another funeral where only the family was invited to get together and say goodbye to him.